Thank you, Madam President, for delivering your icebreaker despite the circumstances. And thank you for affirming many of the qualities that I already know about you. Great job. It is now time to introduce our main speaker for this evening. I'm excited, and I can affirm that most of you are too. Distinguished Toastmaster Brahm Memone attained the Distinguished Toastmaster designation twice and is currently working on his third Distinguished Toastmaster project, the Global Leadership Impact Summit that will bring 1,000 Toastmasters together in a virtual summit. Brahm was awarded the Club Coach of the Year for 2020. During his presidency at My Speak Toastmasters, the club was recognized as the Club of the Year 2021, and the club was also ranked as one of the top 4 clubs globally. Brahm was also the club growth director in District 86 for 2021-2022 and is the current president of Leadership Speak. Please join me in welcoming Distinguished Toastmaster Brahm Memone to deliver his presentation titled Leaders Take Initiative. The virtual lecture is yours, Brahm.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. I have a question for you. And my question is simply this. Why should leaders take initiative anyways? Yeah, I mean, I'm here to talk about leaders take initiative, but and I can finish the subject in 1 minute. Leaders take initiative and I'm gone. So, but why should you take the initiative? Any one words, couple of words, put them in the chat and let's see what you have. Or get those fingers moving. Why do you need to take initiative? Right, ladies and gentlemen. Julie Young says, get things done to affirm progress. Fabiola, thank you. Okay, wonderful, great, I love it. Indeed, leaders should take initiative because you as a leader are the beacon of light. That's what leaders are. I mean, leaders are beacons of light to others to show the way, not to create followers, but to show the way so that they can become leaders too, which is what Toastmasters is about, where leaders are made. Would you agree? I can see some more. Motivate others to share your ideas. Amazing. It's only when you take the initiative that you can do those sort of things. Perfect. So having sort of put that idea out that leaders should take initiative, that perhaps that they should stand up, step forward, and declare themselves to be leaders with intentionality, to declare themselves to be those who will inspire others to find their own path to being leaders. And in between that, things get done at the club level, at the organizational level, in your families, in your churches, anywhere. If things are not getting done, then there's no initiative by anybody about anything. So things have to be getting done. However, things can get done, but are they getting done effectively, efficiently, productively, and in a manner that leaves everyone inspired to wanting to do even more? So that is the initiative that we are talking about, right? An initiative that helps people to progress forward, to make an impact, to amplify their impact, and to become more of who they really are. That is the initiative that I'm talking about. Put something else there, without causing their team burnout. Okay, so let's look at the Toastmasters promise then. And I was so glad to look at your agenda, and right there were the 10 promises. And I had diligently brought my 10 promises myself, all this, but no, I wasn't going to read them to you, of course. But, you know, these are the 10 promises. But, you know, there's a few of these promises that are very promising. So the first one is very, very important in any club, in any organization, to attend club meetings regularly. Now, here's the thing is, why do you want to attend club meetings regularly? Anybody here? Why shouldn't you attend like once a month or once every 2 months or once every other meeting? Why should you be attending more regularly? Anyone? The word that I'm looking for is consistency. Because people who speak need an audience. Perhaps it is about consistency. When you consistently turn up at a meeting, that is taking initiative, isn't it? Which means you're taking the initiative to put yourself on your calendar. Every one of us has got this wonderful device, right? Smartphone. It's got a built-in calendar in here, right? And you could use that calendar. Here's what I do, you know, in my calendar. Every Saturday morning, 9:30 to 11:30. If you look in my calendar, it is booked. Why? Because that's my club time. That is the time I go to my club, and that is the time nothing else comes in the way. Period. No arguments. No, nothing second. Unless, of course, a family emergency, which has never happened, thank goodness. Or unless, of course, when I was a club growth director and the district required me to be at the district. Otherwise, I'm always at the club. 9:30 to 11:30. In fact, I think that leaders should arrive early. If you arrive, if your meeting is at 6 o'clock and you arrived at 5:59, you are late. If your meeting is at 6 o'clock and you arrive at 5:45, you are on time. So to attend meetings regularly is an important aspect of taking that initiative to be consistently be present with your constituents. Now remember the word, I said constituents. The people that you serve are your constituents. As leaders, you've undertaken and you promised to serve those people in your club. And I say there are these 7 samurai, magnificent 7, or the 7 horsemen, right? And you gather together once a month, once every week, once every quarter, hopefully much more regularly than that. Once a week is great. Some clubs do that, like my speak did. And the magnificent 7 consistently meets to make sure that things happen on a regular basis. They are the ones who are the initiators of everything that happens in the club. So now, how many of you here are club executive? Can you raise your hand? Let me have a look and see how many of you are club executive. On the executive team, you can raise your electronic hand or your physical hand. Now let me count. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's so many of them. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh yes, even the guests are raising their hand. Perfect. Amazing, right? And so as an executive team, a certain amount of trust has been put in you. A trust has been put in you by your constituents that you will provide for them during the year the program that is being prescribed by Toastmasters International. And what is that program called? Pathways. And they are relying solely on the 7 samurai, the 7 horsemen, to make sure that it is produced and delivered effectively, that agendas are created, that everything flows well. Now, the 7 samurai said, oh, we are overwhelmed. Yes, it is true that you could be overwhelmed. It's possible, but If you're overwhelmed, guess what? You have a lot of members, or perhaps a few members in your club who can become your committee members and help you with that. That is taking the initiative. So make sure that you have those people that help you out. Now, how many of you here in the executive team here that raised your hand have approached your club members to help you out? How many of you here have committees? How many of you here are VP of Education? Ah, I see Garfield and Francois. Wonderful, they raised their hand. How many of you here are VP of Education? Johnny Laidlow, Garfield, Mariana, Sharon Brush. Wonderful, awesome. Especially you as VP of Education, you must have a committee. And a committee is made up of what? Your members. And guess what? The mentor chair or the vice president of mentorship, whatever you want to call it, and I hope you have one in your club, works with the VP of Education. That mentor program comes under the vice president of education. If you look at the club leaders handbook, it clearly states that the vice president of education will head the mentor program with perhaps the help of a committee. There'll be a committee chair, and they'll report back to the VPE. So the VPE is a very important role in a club. All right. Now, having said that, I will just take a pause, and rather than talk about the executive a bit more, we'll come back. Let's look at number 2. Right? This is now for all members, including, of course, the 7 samurai or the 7 horsemen or the magnificent 7. This is number 2 on your Toastmasters promise. And what is it? To prepare all my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program. By the way, let me ask you this. Where is this Toastmasters promise? Where is the first time you ever came across it? That's a quiz for every one of you here. Where is the first time you ever came across it?
Induction.
In the induction? It came before your induction. Clock is ticking.
The application form.
Yay! The membership application form. If you look at your member application form, page number 2, on the bottom left corner in a little square, those 10 items are listed. By the way, we are learning new things together. So the thing is, it says to prepare all my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, which means not only the 7 samurai will prepare the agenda or make sure that the club is running well. This really covers all that. That's your project. If you are the 7 samurai, the 7 horsemen, what would you prefer to be called today? All right. Put it in the chat what you want to be called today. The 7 samurai, the magnificent 7, the 7 horsemen. Which one would you choose? Let's just have a fun, okay? This is not serious. Come on, guys. Let's have some sense of play here. So, to prepare your projects properly and to sort of deliver them, you have to meet beforehand in your committees, whether you're the EXCOM committee or whether you are a member who's preparing a speech, a brand new member who's preparing the 7 samurai. Perfect. Thank you, Johnny. I love it. You are the 7 samurai today. And so preparation is very necessary. And if the meeting is like 3 weeks away and you know you are the speaker, when should you start preparing for your speech? Anybody here? When should you start preparing for your speech? What, up to you. I mean, it could be like half an hour before.
No.
Today. Thank you, Mariana. Don't tell it to your club. 2 weeks before. Tarek Gerald Thomas Horsford says 2 weeks before. I like it. In fact, I would prefer even more, 3 weeks before, which means the Vice President of Education and her committee members are doing their job well. They have assigned you to speak 3-4 weeks in advance. And you should know, because it takes time to prepare. And why am I saying this? Because that is initiative. It is the initiative by the Toastmasters, the Vice President of Education. They take the initiative to make sure that you're going to be on the agenda at a certain date. You work with them. They put you on the agenda, and then it's up to you and your mentor. Please have a mentor. Doesn't matter who you are, unless you're God. So you prepare that speech. It is taking the initiative. You put it in your calendar and you start to make goals. Knowing your starting line and knowing your finishing line is very, very important in Toastmasters, because we are a self-directed program. And we are a self-directed program means you are accountable, you are responsible for your education. And the only reason why you're in Toastmasters is for education. It is an education organization where you learn how to speak and communicate well and with confidence and with conviction. And therefore you have a starting line. You came into the program, you know where you are at, and you need to know where you will be 6 months down the road, a year down the road, maybe 2 years down the road. Maybe you have a bigger goal, like you want to be the World Championship of Public Speaking, which, wow, how many World Championship of Public Speaking are there? A year, only one. So that may not be most of our goals, but the goal is to get proficient at speaking and your leadership skills. And you need to know that is taking the initiative to know that you are going to plan and prepare in advance to get to your goal. So that is the most important part in taking the initiative, both for the members and for the club executive members. That you are connecting the dots from the start line to the finish line. Like, members should always at the 1st of July or in July create goals. And I mean, new members will come along the way. And some members may leave in September because they say, okay, I've learned what I've got to learn, and I'm going to leave because I'm done with what I needed to learn. Fine, attrition happens. We all know that. There's no secret to that. But don't leave because, you know, something came up and you're a bit confused what you should do, and so you just leave. Because don't forget, you have a goal. There's the finishing line that you must attain, and never, ever, ever, ever give up your goal. Because communication, leadership, and standing up and speaking with conviction and confidence is something that you really need to be something in the world, to make an impact, to make a mark in the world. So that is all about taking the initiative. So the whole club is really a team. Do you get that? You are not here just for yourself. Like, you know, I'm here, and I will take the maximum that I can take, and then I will leave. This is not a spectator sport, or nor is it a solo sport. It is a team sport. And a team sport needs initiative by each member to do their part so that the whole team succeeds. You cannot say only I need to succeed, only I want to succeed. It's impossible in a Toastmasters club. So one of our values is to serve. It is about service. And service means you're going to serve the club, whether you're on the executive team, you're one of the 7 samurai, or you're a club member. How do you serve as a club member, by the way, in a regular basis? Anyone? I mean, you have not been assigned any title. You are not attending the executive meetings, but I'm asking you, are you serving? What do I mean by that? Anybody? Anybody dare even guess? Like, it could be wrong answer, it could be right. You could be on committees and do meeting roles. Okay.
You
Helping
said
with the speech.
evaluation.
Okay, good. I'm getting some stuff there. But even, you know what, the very basic thing as a member, the very basic at the bottom line is, and when you're brand new, because you know your Toastmasters promise, you say, I'll turn up at the meetings and I'll do my roles, and I'll say, how can I help? How can I help? Can I do the quiz master? Can I be the grammarian? Can I be the counter? What are you doing? You're serving the club. Can I be the timer? You're serving the club. Right? Can I be a tabletop speaker? You're serving the club. Do you get that? Because the club cannot just run on a speaker and a Toastmaster. You have to have a timer. And you have to have an evaluator. So, you know, a Toastmaster to introduce, a speaker, a timer, and an evaluator. Those are the 4 key positions, right? And any other position is not required if you don't want to have them, because we don't have the CL manual anymore. You know, in the CL manual, at least it actually requires you to do all those things for those of you who know the legacy program. However, clubs do have other roles as well besides those roles, because they want to make the program a bit more interesting. They want to make the program a bit more enhancing and inclusive and include everybody. A typical meeting will have about 10 to 15 to 16 roles, maybe more, depending on how big the club is and how much involvement you want, right? And so that everybody gets involved at some level to contribute, to serve, and to give of themselves. And that all is up to taking the initiative that I'm in this club, that I'm committed to my growth. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're part of the 7 Samurai or you're a brand new member and you don't know anything. It is you join Toastmasters Club even as a brand new member because you want to learn communication and leadership skills, and you begin to define with your mentor what your starting line is. What are my skills right now, and where will I be 6 months down the road, a year down the road? What do I need to learn? And of course, the ideas are vague when you first begin at Toastmasters. Sometimes even if you've been around for 3, 4, 5 years, and if I ask you what's your starting line today and what will be your finishing line in June of 2023, it may be vague for a minute or 2 or a day or so. But as you begin to formulate and become clear and focused as to exactly where you are, that's called self-assessment. That is taking the initiative to assess yourself, which is Pathways requires you to be a self-directed leader, doesn't it? It says clear. I mean, the old legacy program wasn't as clear as Pathways is, that you are self-directed. You log into Pathways, you look at your speech, and you read all that material that is there. And then what does it say? Assess yourself before you begin the project, right? There's a beginning assessment. Then you finish the project, and then you ask to assess yourself after that. And then if you don't assess yourself, you cannot finish the project, because it won't take you to the last page, right? Where you can then tell the VP of Education, I've done. Now let me go on to the next one. So the before and after assessment is part of that. Is where am I now? That's per speech, per project. Where am I now, and where I will be after this project? Where did I get to? And then you start the next project and tells you, where am I now? And then when you've done the project, you will assess yourself as to where am I now, right? At the end of the project. Those are like mini little things. And so at the start of the year, you know to know the major one, right? And take that initiative to know, I'm here in July, and where do I want to be in June of next year? And with your VP of Education and your mentorship program, you put that into place. Now you're all working in a team, working with each other. Now you're not like it's a lonely sport. It's just, a sport that I play by myself. And yet you need all these other people to play with. Yet, you say, I'll do it my way. It's not really possible to do it only your way. It has to be your way and everybody else's way. That is part of taking the initiative to recognize that it is not a solo sport. Toastmasters is never a solo sport. It takes a number of people to come together and work as a closely knit community to run the program. So there you go. Boom. Number 3, Toastmasters promise: to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments. which the VP of Education and you and your mentors will work with, right? Now, here's my question to you, ladies and gentlemen. And let me just get a little bit out of the way so you can see the whole slide. What role in the EXCOM is the most difficult to fill, or people are afraid to fill, or be even near that EXCOM position? No prize for guessing, by the way. Yay! Of course, Fabiola knows, President Francois knows, yes. And why is that? So, because Francois and, anyone, Linda Adu said that, all the work, Johnny, thank you. So, we have our respected past district director, Fabiola Cleofa here. And we'll ask her why. Why is VP of Education in this place here? Why does it happen to be that one? Fabiola, what do you think?
I think because it is more prominent, it is the heart of a meeting. So people see the Vice President Education all the time busy. And that sometimes scares people that it is too much work. But once you are a Vice President Education, you will see it is the most great. It's the most role that gives you the most satisfaction.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Absolutely. That is the standard answer. Now, my contention is this, and now I'm going to sort of stir the pot here. I threw my phone down. Let me just pick up my phone. I'm getting very excited here. So, and my credit card. So here's the thing. The VP of Education role is the most disliked role, and I'll be very blunt. People don't really like to do that role because there's no initiative by the members. The members think it's a solo sport. And so they will run around and the VP of Education is running after them, and that is not a team sport. And I'm talking about being a team sport, and I've explained to you up to now why it is a team sport. And so the VP of Education role is the most difficult, most disliked, because people don't act like as if they are a team. They don't take that initiative to understand that it is not only about me, but it is about the team. Without the other people, you are nothing in Toastmasters. I'm telling you, go and stand at the street corner and go speak. You will never learn anything. You will need all these people to be able to learn what you're learning, all of us. And so we are obligated. This is our integrity. It is our promise in Toastmasters promise that we will be part of that assignment and do our assignments. We saw the 3 promises. You have to therefore act like a team, take that initiative and say, how can I work with the VP of Education, make your life easy? Instead of the VP of Education chasing you, you are chasing the VP of Education. When can I speak next? That is initiative. That is intentionality. That is integrity. That is a leader. But if the VP of Education is running after you, boom, you're not a leader. You have not led anything. In fact, you are like a cat and mouse game, which I've been around for 26 years, and it's the cat and mouse game. And you don't want that in a club. Clubs thrive and then die, and then thrive and then die, up and down, because of simply this. People think it's a lonely sport. I'll play my way, to hell with the rest of them. And that is not the way Toastmasters really works. A strong community of people come together only if you work as a team and take that initiative to say, I'm going to run after the VP of Education. And I'm going to make sure that my VP of Education is sitting on a chair, smoking cigars and drinking their brandy, and say, yes, who is next now? Come on, who wants to speak next? I'm like resting. What do you mean? Don't bother me. And that's what the VP of Education should be in your club. That's what you should make your VP of Education be. That means all of you, all the 5, 10, 15, 20 people, however many of you are dividing the load of the VP of Education. Do I sound like a church leader now? Hallelujah. So, lift the load of your brother. No, I'm not a Christian, but I'm sure a lot of you are, so you understand what I mean, right? And that's a good thing, really. So, in fact, it reminds me of that story in the Bible, the Good Samaritan, right? Do you all know the Good Samaritan? Those of you who are Christians here, right? You raise your hand. I mean, I'm not a Christian. I haven't read the Bible, but I've come across the story, and I think it's an amazing story. And I think it applies in Toastmasters here, right? Like this guy was jumped upon by some bandits, right? He was lying on the side of the road, and two people passed by, and they don't help him. And one is a priest, and another one is one of the, somebody in the church, right? I believe somebody who is in the choir or something, and they don't help him because they're in a hurry, and they keep going, and leave the poor man dying in the side of the road. And then a stranger passes by, and then he takes the man, binds his wounds, pours wine on his wounds, gives him stuff to eat, takes him to the nearest town, puts him in an inn, gives the innkeeper some money, and says, "I'll be back. Make sure that you look after this guy, and I'll be back. And if you need more money, I will pay you." And one of the guys asked Jesus, Jesus is a story he was telling the people there, and one of the guys asked, so it was because one of the guys has asked, who is a good neighbor, right? And so Jesus says, that good Samaritan who took the man and put him in the inn and looked after him, that's a good Samaritan. That's your neighbor, right? It is. So, this is not a solo sport. Even when you see a stranger, you help, right? And such a great story. So work with your VP of Education. He's the poor guy lying in the ditch. That's why nobody wants to do his job. You better be the good Samaritan. So now, who is the VP of Education in Antigua Toastmasters Club? Just that, not anybody else, just in this club. Double topic, Master Garfield. So Master Garfield, now you're going to go buy some cigars and some brandy and sit on your chair and just smoke, okay? And wait for them to come to you. So now, ladies and gentlemen, that is called initiative by the members themselves. That is called leadership. What do you think? I will stop here and I will pause now, and I will ask the members here to have a conversation. Do you think you will take the initiative this year? Do you think you'll make Garfield run around? Or would you like him to smoke his cigars and sit on a chair and wait for you guys to knock on his door? No, Garfield, they want to make you work hard. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is initiative. It is not a light word, and it fulfills your Toastmasters promise, and it helps each other become more of who you really are when you do that. Because when you take the initiative, it really opens up a lot of things for you as a leader, right? That means you've really taken charge of your life, that you know your goals, that you know why you are here in this program, and you have a starting line and a finishing line. Now, most people tend to diminish this program only for one reason. And that reason is that it only costs $45 US every 6 months. Now, I know for some countries it is perhaps steep, and so for some countries it is nothing. Plus, of course, the club dues for their expenses to run the club. So it's not much. Now, if you go for 6 months to a college or university, you'll pay a lot more, like in Canada, $5,000-$6,000. As compared to $45 plus the club dues, maybe $60 every 6 months. So it's easy to diminish. I say, I'm just paying so little. Now, if I turn up, if I don't turn up, if I make the VP of Education run. So you're not really vested in your own investment. Don't diminish the small amount of money that you're paying. It is so easy to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the best investment that you can ever make is in yourself. right? And so next time when there's an election, one of the club promises is to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so. Everyone should say, I want to become the VP of education because I want to smoke cigars sitting in a chair. That's the club culture you should have. That's the club culture you need to create. Leaders create the culture that makes things easy for everyone. If one person is lifting the weight of 20 people or 20 people lifting the weight equally, it's very, very different culture. It becomes a strong collaborative community. And if you are in a workforce, you know that that is one of the prerequisites these days, is that you have to be collaborative at a high level, you know, and be able to sort of contribute and serve your teammates and to bring your own unique talents to the table, and then be able to take other people's unique talents together and be something awesome and incredible in the future as you go along. So the Toastmasters core values in that case are fulfilled when you take the initiative. You take the initiative of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters. I mean, that's the conduct of all Toastmasters. Then, you know, when you're serving in excellence, what are you doing? When, like I said before, right? If you remember, you're serving by being on the agenda, right? You're being on the agenda, you're serving the club, you're the quiz master, or the grammarian, or the speaker, or the Toastmaster of the day, whatever role you're putting yourself in on the agenda, you are serving. And when you serve, you just don't turn up and be blank. You should have prepared your speech a while back and practiced it with your mentor if possible, or practiced it anyways, and then come and deliver it. You should have done your role beforehand, practice it with your mentor, and then come and deliver it. That way you progress faster, quicker, and become a strong community together, because now you're playing not a solo sport, but a community sport. Like soccer. If you were the world champions of soccer, the only reason you could become a world champion of soccer is that everyone knew that you would come to practice, that you were a team player, that you knew that you were the center forward or the left winger or whatever it is, or the goalie. They knew who you were, and that you practiced, and then you even changed some of the roles during practice, right? And so that when those big lights in the stadium came on and 50,000 people were in the stadium, you know, shouting, you know, you've heard the soccer games, right? Oh, and everybody stands and does the waves, and the TV cameras, like, you know, closing up, and the whole world is watching. That is the way you should come to Toastmasters Club. That you are a team player, that you are going to be a world player. Now, it doesn't mean, as I already said, that you have to be a world championship of public speaking. That's not what I mean. But in your own life, in your own organizations, at your workplace, because whatever you learn in Toastmasters has to be used outside. If it only remains in Toastmasters, you've learned nothing. If it can be used outside, you've learned something. All right, I think we have reached almost 40 minutes, which was my time. According to my clock on my screen, 37 minutes, we got 3 minutes to go. So I will stop now, because I think I've said enough about taking the initiative and who you should be in the club. So my last question to you is, are you taking the initiative? Are you investing in your own growth and development? Are you keeping the Toastmasters promise that you said when you first signed on in the membership form? You had to sign page number 2, and next to your signature on the left was the Toastmasters promise. Are you going to keep it? And what I've explained today is that's what it really means. That's what a Toastmasters promise is. When the VP of Education is chasing you, the club is going crazy, and nobody knows what they're doing, you haven't kept the Toastmasters promise. Where you signed, and next to it, it means nothing. And your signature should mean something. Your commitment should mean something, right? Your word as to who you are should mean something. Otherwise, who are we when it means nothing to what we put our signature to? It should mean something. When I put my signature to something, and a couple of people from my club are right here, 3 of them are right here, they know that I play the highest level, that I will be there and that I will play as a team, and I will ask my team members to play at that level. And that's why we make a successful club. With that, I rest my case. If there are any questions, I'm open to it, but I will give this back to Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Brahm Memone. The floor is open. Are there any questions? I am not seeing any questions at this time. I am sure if something should pop up, we will be able to reach out to Brahm for clarification. So I would like to express our thanks to you, distinguished Toastmaster Brahm Memone, for your presentation, which I believe was such a fitting start to our new Toastmasters year. What stood out for me is the need for consistency and to be a team player. It is not a solo sport. I don't want to see our VPE running around, especially running after me. I affirm that if we take the initiative and invest in our growth and development, we will all achieve our goals. So thank you so much for this wonderful presentation this evening. And I would like to present you with a small token. It's not enough, a small token of our appreciation for taking the time to invest in our development this evening and sharing all the wonderful nuggets that you did with us. Thank you so much, Brahm. It was a pleasure to have you.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's go our mics and let's give Brahm a round of applause, everyone. He has been very enlightening this evening. Thank you very much. I will now invite our table topics master and Vice President of Education, who will be on the treadmill if we don't step up this year, to come in and take us through our table topic segment this evening. Toastmaster Garfield Gonzalez, the virtual lectern is yours.